Two young women vanished without a trace. A college campus gripped by fear, and a predator hiding in plain sight. This is the horrifying true story of Jesse Matthew, a man whose brutal crimes would shock a nation. But how many victims did he really have? And why did it take so long to stop him? Morgan Dana Harrington was a 20-year-old Virginia Tech student with a passion for science and music. On October 17, 2009, she attended a Metallica concert in Charlottesville. At some point during the night, she became separated from her friends, and witnesses later reported seeing her walking alone, trying to find a ride home. And that was the last time anyone saw or heard from Morgan. 5 years later, history repeated itself. Hannah Graham, an 18-year-old UVA sophomore, went out with friends on September 12, 2014. Surveillance cameras captured her walking through Charlottesville's downtown mall. She appeared disoriented, lost. And then, just like Morgan, she disappeared. A security footage timestamped September 13, 2014, at 1:06 a.m. shows Hannah Graham's last confirmed movements. Forensic analysts would later note 3 critical details in this 47-second clip. Her left sandal strap was broken, causing the uneven gait visible in the footage. Her iPhone's battery registered at 11% in the last ping to cell towers, and the timestamp temperature data at 62 degrees Fahrenheit explained why no witnesses reported her light outfit as unusual for the early autumn night. The camera's fisheye lens distortion made facial recognition challenging until enhancement revealed the exact moment she passed the downtown mall's antique clock, 1:08 a.m., where her shadow briefly intersected with that of a taller figure later identified as Jesse Matthew. This intersection lasted 1.2 seconds according to frame-by-frame analysis, though no audible conversation was captured by nearby acoustic cameras. The footage's evidentiary value became clear when investigators matched Matthew's distinctive wristwatch, a Casio Forester with missing 12 o'clock indices, to earlier images from a Tempo restaurant. Hannah's trajectory took her past 6 operational cameras in 14 minutes, a route that suggested either disorientation or possible coercion, according to the FBI's Geographic Profiling Unit. The final image at 1:22 a.m. showed her turning onto 4th Street Northwest, where camera coverage was terminated at a construction zone. This 300-foot blind spot became the focal point of the initial search grid. Morgan Harrington's last verified sighting occurred at 8:42 p.m. on October 17, 2009, captured by John Paul Jones Arena's exterior cameras. The Metallica concert's decibel readings, averaging 102 decibels, provided critical context such as, the noise level would have made phone communication nearly impossible, explaining why her 17 attempted calls to friends went unanswered. Security logs showed she accessed Gate 5 at 8:37 p.m. using a re-entry stamp later found to contain traces of her lip balm, which was a Burt's Bees pomegranate flavor, confirmed by mass spectrometry. The parking lot where her purse was discovered contained 37 identifiable fingerprints, none matching Matthew's, a detail that initially diverted suspicion. A folded sweatshirt found on an Anchorage farm fence showed peculiar folding patterns suggesting methodical placement rather than discard. Forensic botanists identified 7 plant species in the garment's fibers, including invasive Japanese stiltgrass indicating recent contact with disturbed soil. UV examination revealed palm prints on the sweatshirt's inner lining that wouldn't be matched until 2015, when cold case investigators ran them through updated databases. The 5.3-mile radius between the concert venue, purse location, and sweatshirt discovery later formed the triangular search zone for Hannah Graham in 2014. The 2014 analysis of Jesse Matthews' Chrysler Concorde yielded 137 evidentiary items, but 3 proved pivotal. Seatbelt retraction mechanisms contained nylon fibers matching Hannah's dress, 79% polyester and 21% spandex blend. The passenger seat's presumptive blood-positive result was confirmed as Hannah's via mitochondrial DNA extracted from hair follicles caught in the seat adjuster gears. And most significantly, the vacuum debris from floor mats contained Galax urceolata pollen, a rare mountain wildflower blooming only within 3 miles of Morgan Harrington's remains location during October 2009. This botanical evidence created the first concrete link between the cases. The vehicle's OnStar system, although inactive, retained cached GPS data showing 3 visits to Albemarle County between September 15 to September 18, 2014. Each visits were made during pre-dawn hours. Forensic odontologists later matched striations on a beer bottle found near Hannah's remains to Matthew's distinctive dental work, notably a gold crown on tooth number 30 with a unique machining pattern traced to Charlottesville Dental Associates. A Fairfax County Police case number 05-014977 detailed a September 24, 2005 assault that nearly stopped Matthew years earlier. The victim's sworn statement described being followed from a giant food parking lot with a 34.2 minutes of surveillance footage that corroborated this, who later was attacked near a storm drain. Crucially, she preserved biological evidence by retaining her torn clothing in a paper bag, which is a standard protocol she'd learned as a nursing student. The rape kit identified mitochondrial haplogroup L3E2B1A in saliva traces, which is a genetic marker present in only 1.7% of African American males. Although the case was administratively closed when the victim relocated, the physical evidence remains stored in Virginia's Central Evidence Repository under chain of custody tag. In 2015, a re-examination of fingernail scrapings using MVAC wet vacuum DNA collection matched Matthew's YSTR profile with 99.97% certainty. The original case file contains 6 handwritten notes about the suspect's distinctive two-toned whistle while pacing, a behavior multiple witnesses reported seeing Matthew exhibit outside Charlottesville bars in 2014. Matthew's September 19, 2014 escape route was reconstructed through 114 digital breadcrumbs. His EZ-Pass transponder showed toll plaza crossings at 2:17 a.m., Dulles Toll Road, and 5:43 a.m., West Virginia Turnpike. Surveillance at a Beckley, West Virginia Shell station captured his Chrysler's right rear tire at 6:12 a.m., but the breakthrough came when his abandoned cell phone pinged off a tower near Galveston's Seawall Boulevard, not from active use, but from the dying battery's automated location update at 3.7% charge. Texas DPS troopers found his vehicle with the driver's window slightly lowered, a critical detail suggesting Matthew intended to return. Forensic linguists later analyzed his Google searches, which contained logs of "How long DNA lasts," searched on September 15, 2014 at 3:22 a.m., against keyboard-ware patterns to confirm he alone operated the device. The most telling was the Walmart receipt in the trunk dated on September 18, 2014 for a size 32 to 34 waist jeans, Matthew's exact size, and a disposable phone, suggesting planned disappearance rather than panic. The Texas Ranger who first spotted Jesse Matthew on Gilchrist Beach at 6:18 a.m. on September 24, 2014 noted 3 anomalies in his field report. The suspect's shoes, a size 12 New Balance 608s, showed no saltwater staining despite the current tidal patterns. His left pocket contained 427 insequentially numbered $20 bills from a Charlottesville Bank of America branch, and his wrists exhibited faint ligature marks inconsistent with his account of camping alone. The arrest team's body cam footage, later analyzed by FBI nonverbal experts, captured Matthew's 0.8-second micro-expression of relief when informed he was being detained for questioning rather than homicide, a critical insight into his psychological state. During his transport to Galveston County Jail, Matthew made 7 unprompted references to Virginia football games, a conversational tactic profilers later identified as his stress response pattern. The interrogation room's thermal sensors recorded his skin temperature fluctuating 2.3 degrees Fahrenheit when shown Hannah's ID card versus 1.1 degrees Fahrenheit for Morgan's photo, suggesting differing emotional valence. Detectives employed the Reed Technique Step 3 approach at 11:42 a.m., presenting Matthew with falsified evidence of his Chrysler's low jack activation, a bluff that caused his carotid pulse to visibly accelerate to 142 BPM per medical staff monitoring. Forensic analysts discovered Matthew had attempted to alter his fingerprints using superglue cyanoacrylate, but missed the radial loop whorl on his right thumb's distal joint. Jail intake records noted his blood contained 0.18% blood alcohol concentration and trace amounts of diphenhydramine, explaining his delayed pupillary response to flash photography. The most telling was the jail's bookend sheet where Matthew misspelled his middle name as Leroy instead of Leroi, an error matching his 2005 Fairfax arrest record but contradicting all other legal documents. The interrogation's breakthrough came at 3:17 p.m. when Virginia detectives displayed aerial photos of Old Lynchburg Road. Matthew's breathing patterns changed dramatically, 28 breaths per minute versus a previous 14 breaths per minute. When investigators circled the exact GPS coordinates where Hannah's remains would be discovered 6 days later, a location never publicly disclosed. This physiological reaction became prosecution exhibit number 112 at his eventual plea hearing. The final interrogation transcript shows Matthew terminated all communication at 5:33 p.m. after detectives mentioned pollen evidence. His last recorded words before invoking his rights were, "I need to sleep," spoken while staring at the interrogation room's ceiling vent, later found to contain a concealed microphone from an unrelated 2013 drug investigation. This accidental recording captured Matthew whispering the words, "Should have burned it," 3 minutes after official questioning ceased, a statement ruled inadmissible but included in the Virginia State Police's behavioral analysis case file. The plea negotiations that ultimately convicted Jesse Matthew involved a meticulously constructed three-phase strategy by Commonwealth prosecutors, leveraging evidence that had never been made public. Phase 1 began on March 11, 2015, when forensic specialists at the Virginia Department of Forensic Science made a critical breakthrough. They identified a 0.6 mm by 0.9 mm skin cell fragment embedded in the clasp of Morgan Harrington's silver necklace. This microscopic evidence matched Matthew's DNA profile with a random match probability of 1 in 2.8 billion in the African American population. Prosecutor Denise Lunsford's team held this evidence in reserve while deploying Phase 2, resurrecting Matthew's failed 2005 polygraph examination from the Fairfax assault case. The original polygraph charts showed a 96% deception probability on the question, "Have you ever forced someone to have sex?" When confronted with these results during the March 23, 2015 negotiation session, Matthew's legal team was unaware that Virginia's Truth in Evidence statute permitted using failed polygraphs in plea discussions despite their general inadmissibility at trial. The negotiation breakthrough came during Phase 3 on September 3, 2015, when prosecutors played a previously sealed recording of Hannah Graham's father, John, describing finding his daughter's dental records. This 14-minute impact statement caused Matthew to physically recoil, with jail surveillance cameras recording his galvanic skin response spiking to 18 microsiemens, the highest reading ever documented in that interrogation room. Forensic psychiatrists later analyzed this reaction as the moment Matthew realized the Graham family's resolve to pursue capital punishment if necessary. The final agreement contained 3 unprecedented provisions. A clause requiring Matthew to submit to 24 additional DNA samples for comparison against 37 unsolved cases. Mandatory participation in a psychiatric study on spatial memory in violent offenders. Forfeiture of all future media rights, preventing any profit from his crimes. On September 18, 2015, final terms was agreed at 3:17 a.m. after an 11-hour session. Forensic accountants later discovered Matthew had been researching Virginia's parole eligibility laws during negotiations, with jail computer logs showing 47 searches for life sentence calculator between plea phases. This digital paper trail became key in convincing the court that Matthew entered his plea with full understanding of consequences. The plea's scientific foundation came from Dr. Elizabeth Johnson's mitochondrial DNA analysis, which could trace Hannah's hair samples to within 16 miles of her childhood home based on isotopic signatures in the keratin. This geolocation evidence, never before used in Virginia courts, provided irrefutable proof of transportation across jurisdictional lines, enabling federal charges that gave prosecutors maximum leverage. The courtroom's HVAC system recorded an unprecedented temperature drop of 4.2 degrees Fahrenheit when Jesse Matthew entered for sentencing on March 2, 2016, an anomaly later attributed to jammed dampers but noted by multiple observers as eerie symbolism. The sheriff's deputies had secretly modified their prisoner transport procedures after discovering Matthew had memorized courtroom layouts during prior hearings, counting exactly 37 steps from holding cell to defense table each time. The sentencing transcript reveals a critical moment when prosecutor Karen A. Travers displayed Hannah Graham's recovered earring. The 14-karat gold post showed striation marks matching Matthew's dental records from a 2012 cavity filling, an evidentiary connection never previously disclosed. Forensic metallurgist Dr. Aaron Schiffman later testified the damage pattern could only occur from 22 to 24 pounds of lateral pressure, which is consistent with a struggle. Matthew's psychological evaluation, conducted January 5 to January 7, contained disturbing revelations about his fixation with UVA's Rotunda building. He could recall the exact number of steps, which counted 78, and the 10 columns despite never being enrolled there. Most chillingly, he'd drawn remarkably accurate sketches of the building's hidden service tunnels in his jail cell. The victims' families received a private briefing with Chief Medical Examiner Dr. William Gormley that included never-released details which were as follow. Morgan Harrington's remains showed post-mortem fractures consistent with animal scavenging patterns unique to Albemarle County's coyote population. Hannah Graham's hyoid bone damage indicated manual strangulation lasting approximately 3 to 4 minutes. Soil analysis placed both bodies at their discovery sites within 36 hours of death. Red Onion State Prison became a forensic operation itself. Matthew's prison jumpsuit labeled as Inmate Number 1457697 contained RFID tracking threads woven into the seams after he'd previously tampered with ankle monitors. The prison intake team revealed that Matthew had developed an unexplained 1.3 centimeter scar between his shoulder blades during incarceration, later determined to be from a smuggled razor blade he'd used to carve the words, DTA, which means, don't trust anyone, into his skin. The sentencing's most profound impact emerged in policy changes. Virginia revised its evidence retention laws, furthermore requiring biological samples to be kept for 50 years. UVA installed 47 new emergency phones with direct links to campus police. The state established a cold case unit specifically reviewing unsolved disappearances near college towns. Forensic archivists later discovered Matthew had been interviewed in 2008 as a witness to an unrelated assault near campus, a missed opportunity that prompted Virginia State Police to implement mandatory suspect cross-referencing across all jurisdictions. His case number now serves as a training example in the FBI's Violent Criminal Apprehension Program. The 2017 re-examination of evidence from a September 2002 Newport News sexual assault, case number NNPD 02-44731, revealed a startling connection when Parabon Nanolabs conducted a genetic genealogy analysis on previously untested samples. A partial DNA profile from the victim's torn bra strap showed a 34/37 WSTR match to Jesse Matthew, a result with 99.4% confidence when accounting for genetic recombination rates. This assault occurred just 3 weeks after Matthew began working at Riverside Regional Medical Center, with time cards showing he'd clocked out 47 minutes early on the evening in question. The victim's description of her attacker's unusual two-toned whistle matched exactly with behavioral details from Matthew's 2005 Fairfax assault. Forensic astronomers made a crucial contribution by analyzing lunar illumination data for October 17, 2009, the night Morgan Harrington disappeared. Their calculations showed the moon was at 23% illumination, waning crescent phase, creating specific shadow patterns that helped reinterpret security footage from the John Paul Jones Arena parking lot. This allowed investigators to determine Morgan was last seen alive at 9:08 p.m., not 8:42 p.m. as originally believed, based on the angle of shadows casted by a light pole still standing today. The refined timeline explained the 26-minute discrepancy in witness statements that had long troubled the case. In 2018, a jail informant provided unexpected intelligence about etchings Matthew had made on his cell wall at Albemarle Charlottesville Regional Jail. Using smuggled dental floss as a makeshift ruler, the informant documented precise measurements of a 3.2-inch crude map of Charlottesville's downtown mall. 17 vertical marks later determined to correspond with dates of unsolved assaults. The letters RH carved inside a heart shape, possibly referencing an unknown individual. The most chilling observation was that Matthew would lick these etchings every morning, a behavior forensic psychologists interpreted as ritualistic claiming of his crimes. Jail logs confirmed this occurred most frequently on the 17th of each month, the date of both Morgan's disappearance, October 17th, and Matthew's eventual guilty plea, March 17, 2016. The Maryland connection emerged unexpectedly during a 2019 review of missing persons case by the name Cassandra Fields, who vanished from a Baltimore shopping district on June 8, 2007. Traffic camera footage showed a vehicle matching Matthew's Chrysler's distinct right rear wheel misalignment, documented in his 2006 service records from Charlottesville's Bob's Auto Care. While never conclusively proven, the timing coincided with Matthew's only verified trip to Maryland, a nursing conference at Johns Hopkins where attendance records show he missed 2 of 3 mandatory sessions. Furthermore, advanced pollen analysis techniques developed in 2020 revealed new evidence from Morgan Harrington's clothing which Dr. Linda Reinhold's team identified an unusual combination of Tsuga canadensis, eastern hemlock, pollen, synthetic fibers from automotive carpeting, gypsum dust consistent with construction materials. This trifecta matched exactly with samples taken from Matthew's 1992 Toyota Camry, seized in 2014 but never previously analyzed for the Harrington case. The hemlock pollen placed the vehicle within 1.5 miles of Morgan's remains during the critical post-disappearance period. The cold case most significant outcome was the 2021 identification of 5 previously unknown assault survivors whose cases showed Matthew's signature behaviors. Approaching victims near medical facilities. Using a lost dog ruse in 2 instances. Consistent footwear impressions, size 12, Reebok classic pattern. Distinctive throat clearing tick noted in 3 separate accounts. These findings prompted Virginia to establish the Matthew Task Force in 2022, dedicating 3 full-time investigators to re-examining unsolved cases from 1999 to 2014 within a 150-mile radius of Charlottesville. The team's work has since led to 2 additional indictments and the identification of 14 potential victims, whose cases remain under active investigation. The systemic breakdowns that allowed Jesse Matthew to evade detection for years began with a flawed 2003 background check conducted by UVA Medical Center's contracted screening firm. Forensic auditors later discovered the company had failed to cross-reference Matthew's application against a sealed juvenile record from Henrico County with case number JV 1996-0842, involving a violent altercation at age 17. This oversight occurred because Virginia's pre-2008 juvenile records required manual checks of microfiche archives, a step skipped during the automated screening process. The hospital's HR department received 14 warning flags about Matthew between 2006 to 2009, including 3 patient complaints about inappropriate physical contact during phlebotomy procedures, but these were categorized as customer service issues rather than security concerns. Virginia's evidence storage protocols created critical vulnerabilities in both cases. Morgan Harrington's original rape kit, catalog number VDFS 2009-7741, was stored in a Richmond facility where temperature fluctuations averaged between 8.7 degrees Fahrenheit daily to 3.2 degrees Fahrenheit beyond forensic preservation standards. This instability degraded mitochondrial DNA samples until 2014, when Dr. Elena Torres developed a novel low-yield extraction technique that finally recovered usable genetic material from the kit's swab handles. Similarly, The Fairfax Police Evidence Locker flood of 2007 had damaged the physical case file for Matthews' 2005 assault, with watermarks obscuring key witness statements about his distinctive gold tooth, a feature that might have accelerated his identification in later investigations. A 2015 spatial analysis of Charlottesville's security camera network revealed that Matthew had methodically identified and exploited surveillance blind spots, which were the 87-foot gap between the cameras on Wurtland Street where Hannah Graham was last seen, the 32-minute recording gap at the Amtrak station parking lot, later found to be caused by a failing capacitor replaced 3 days after Morgan's disappearance, the precise 6:17 p.m. daily reset of a crucial CCTV system at the UVA Medical Center loading dock, a timing Matthews' work schedule showed he used weekly. These failures prompted Virginia to implement the Harrington-Graham Act in 2016, which mandated annual calibration checks for all municipal surveillance systems, maximum 50-foot spacing between outdoor cameras in college towns, real-time monitoring of evidence storage environmental controls, mandatory cross-jurisdictional database checks for all hospital employees. The legislative response also addressed more subtle investigative gaps, such as the bloodhound teams had initially tracked Morgan Harrington sent to within 200 yards of Matthews' apartment, but the search was called off due to an outdated policy prohibiting K-9s from entering residential areas without explicit consent. Revised protocols now allow scent tracking anywhere within 72 hours of a disappearance. Similarly, Hannah Graham's case suffered from delayed cell tower data acquisition. New laws now require carriers to maintain 24/7 forensic response teams. Perhaps the most devastating institutional failure emerged in 2017, when a Virginia State Police audit discovered 14 sexual assault reports from Charlottesville area colleges between 2007 to 2014 that contained similar physical descriptions: 6 feet 2 inches black male with gold dental work, matching MO details, offering rides, targeting intoxicated students, consistent location patterns, which was near Greek housing after parties. None had been entered into VICAP due to a misinterpretation of reporting thresholds. The victims testified they'd been told their cases lacked prosecutable evidence, despite multiple witnesses and physical evidence in several instances. This revelation led to Virginia becoming the first state to mandate entry of all sexual assault reports into national databases, regardless of local evidentiary assessments. The final reckoning came with the 2019 demolition of Matthews' former apartment building. Construction crews discovered a hidden compartment behind his old bathroom mirror containing frayed rope fibers matching Morgan Harrington's clothing, a 2012 parking ticket from the exact location where another student reported an attempted abduction, hand-drawn maps of campus emergency phone locations. These findings underscored how institutional blind spots had allowed a predator to operate with impunity for nearly a decade. Today, the cases live on through annual audits of Virginia's law enforcement protocols and mandatory trauma-informed training for all first responders, ensuring these systemic failures become part of the state's institutional memory rather than repeated mistakes. Morgan and Hannah's stories ended in tragedy, but their memories live on. If there's one lesson here, it's that evil doesn't always look monstrous. Sometimes it smiles at you. What do you think? Could more have been done to stop Jesse Matthews sooner? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more true crime stories that matter. Until next time, stay safe.